As you know, I'm Dr. Rashmi Shram. I'm a family physician and an integrative wellness coach. And today with me, I have a very good friend of mine, Dr. Stephanie Byerly. Stephanie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here and love working with you. We have a lot of commonality. And so I'm Dr. Stephanie Byerly, and I'm a physician. I'm an anesthesiologist, and I do obstetrical anesthesiology, but I'm also a life coach. And so many women physicians are exhausted and overextended, feeling like they're failing at everything. And so I've created a life coaching program for these women to take control back of their lives so they can get some joy back in their personal and professional life.
Absolutely. And what a needed and necessary time and program, especially for now. So would you tell us a little bit more about the program?
Yes, absolutely. So I do one-on-one coaching, and we meet for about 12 sessions. And the first few sessions, we look at what's working in your life, what's not working in your life, what you want to be different. And we start looking at how are we going to get there. And the way that I've been trained, I went to the life coach school, and Brooke Castillo, the way that she teaches is something called the thought model. And what that is looking at your thoughts, because we have 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, which is crazy. None of us, we don't realize that, but automatically half of those thoughts are negative and half of those are positive. And our brain always wants to go to the negative. So we have two parts of our brain. We have the caveman brain, which is our primitive brain that wants to keep us stuck in the cave. So this, the saber-toothed tiger doesn't eat us, right? And then we have our thinking prefrontal cortex. Well, we love to just let our primitive brain sort of take over. So we start looking at, what are stories? What are facts? What are we focusing on? And with this model, which is pretty unbelievable, we look at our thought really creates the results that we get. And that if we start to really be able to see how our mind is working, we call it becoming the watcher of our mind, kind of being curious about the way that our brain is, we can start to realize that we can plan our lives intentionally to get the results that we want. And it's absolutely transformational. And it's for every area of your life, every area of your personal life, your professional life. So it's quite amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot of sort of similarity between how we teach in Ayurveda and in yogic philosophy as well, which is that we are the witness of our thoughts. And that can be a really difficult place to get to. And I love the way it sounds like this is a really kind of smooth way to get into that area, right? And notice your thoughts rather than feel like you are your thoughts. So, and what an empowering tool to have for your clients.
Well, the great part too is that it's non-judgmental. So that's one of the biggest things that we have to learn is to stop judging ourselves. As women, we do this more. I mean, everybody does it, but women do it more than men because of the way that we've been socialized from the day we've been born about how women are supposed to talk, look, act, what we see on TV, what, social media, just all the messages that come in. And so we do have these expectations for ourselves. And they're not attainable. And so it's this constant vicious cycle of perfectionism, which is not obtainable. And so the great part is that we realize it's non-judgmental and that we're just like, that's interesting. And maybe I don't want to be that way anymore. Maybe I don't want to show up that way anymore. So I can change that if I want to. So it is you come from a place of disempowerment and you become so empowered. And again, there's usually a group of core issues that cause people to act in certain ways. And once you start getting a handle on what those are and start deciding, I don't want it to be this way, I want it to be different, it really affects everything because there's just that group of values that rules your entire life.
Yeah. So you get to start to notice some of those patterns for yourself.
Absolutely.
And then as you start to notice, that's where that awareness begins the transformational process. And that's perfect.
Yes, it's perfect. And the thing that is really great, I did this because I wanted to become a life coach to help women physicians, but I had no idea that it was going to transform my life as well. So I I guess I always thought somehow that people could make me happy or sad. But what you really learn through this process is you're the only one responsible for your feelings, and nobody can make you feel a certain way. And that was pretty amazing. And it also helps you get out of the victim mentality where life is always just happening to you, because you realize that it's all about the way you're thinking about everything that happens.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So really living intentionally on purpose and really empowered without disempowering anyone else. It's an amazing skill to have. And, you know, for you to be able to offer that to other people, that's really phenomenal.
I'm excited. You know, I love what I do and I love being an anesthesiologist, but I only get to see people once. So they come in for surgery. I take care of them at a really scary time in their life. And I'm so glad that, you know, I have to make a really quick relationship with them to trust me, you know, to have their life in my hands. But I wanted to be able to help more people in a different way. And so this has just been amazing because of the experiences that I've had with burnout and many traumatic instances in my life, to be able to help other people through this, but help them in a way that affects every minute of every day for the rest of their life. So it's really, it's just an amazing, you know, career change for me. I'm still doing both, but I just, you know, to be able to have both careers is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I can see how passionately you feel about coaching and the anesthesia. I think it's beautiful. So speaking of, you know, kind of being on the front lines through the pandemic, I'd love to hear kind of what some of your learning points, what you saw, and how you kept yourself healthy through the last year or so.
So I have to say I'm very fortunate for where I work. They really were on top of it. And, you know, we felt very safe. We were some of the first group to get the vaccine in addition, and took it very seriously. But it was a very scary time. When you're dealing with pregnant women with COVID, it's another layer of added contact, especially as the anesthesia people, because you're in there constantly with them and trying to make sure they're not, you know, in pain, and say if we had to do a C-section. So there was really added levels of exposure. Plus, you know, as an anesthesiologist, putting breathing tubes in and think, I mean, it's right there. And so there was a lot of, you know, daily trying to stay out of the anxiety. And since I'm the head of a team, I felt very responsible to make sure that things were as good as they could be for that team. And so I'm very lucky, again, as I said, where I work, and I work with a great group of people. But I've seen a lot of my colleagues, you know, with the anxiety of taking home possibly the virus to their family. And, you know, women make up 80% of the frontline workers, no matter what job it is in the healthcare field. And so we have a lot more exposure in that way. Not to say that men were not exposed. I'm not saying that at all, but it just, there's been a very inordinate burden on women. And so I also work as the chair of the American Society of Anesthesiologists, the Committee on Women Anesthesiologists, and we're looking at a lot of data. And really what we've learned is that women have been affected in a lot of different ways. And there's been a lot of job loss for women. Women have gotten furloughed more, women physicians. There's been more pay cut for women physicians. They've lost a lot of academic productivity, say in the realm of promotion and things like this, and their domestic duties have just increased so much. And so prior to COVID, we know that professional women did 80% of the domestic duties, no matter who they were married to. And that's it's not a diss on men, but it just sort of seems to be the way that it goes. And now that's increased drastically with COVID, especially with homeschooling and taking care of, let's say, elderly or aging parents that had to move in, and just different things that happen. And so women have been really affected by this, and their burnout rate has increased drastically, and the rate of mental illness, substance abuse, suicide, and it's also increased for men, but it's just been higher for women. So we're going to be feeling the effects of this for a very long time, and on all healthcare workers, not just physicians and nurses, but it has taken a big toll.
Yeah, absolutely. What a challenging situation. And like you said, it's, you know, yes, we're coming out of it. We're seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned was, you know, we're really going to have to take care of these women, including ourselves, for a very long time to come. And so it makes the work that you do, the work that I do, that much more pressing, as far as moving from, that mode of feeling very stressed out and overwhelmed into that empowered, and moving towards wellness. And so, yeah, what a great time to be doing the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things is self-care, because I think all physicians, we sacrifice ourselves for everybody else. And we find out that we are absolutely so unhealthy. But if we can actually start tending to our mind, first of all, because mindset is everything, and our health as well, our physical health, it just changes the whole trajectory of every day and our present and our future. And so, even like you're saying, we don't have to do it for very long every day, but just some time to focus on ourselves makes the hugest difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Little things can lead to big results for sure. And, I joke, but I don't think that I heard the word self-care until I was like 14 years into medicine. I mean, I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so hopefully we're changing the narrative on that, as we start to lead some of the younger folks who are coming in, and hopefully they're able to take better care of themselves, and than the way that we were taught to take care of ourselves, which was non-existent.
Well, and did you know the Hippocratic Oath has been changed?
No, I didn't.
Yes, they actually added in there that in order not to harm patients, that basically physicians need to take care of their physical and mental well-being.
I love that.
Yes, incredible. And so, there is such a national push to start to, in dealing with these issues, but medicine is a culture like everything else, and it's going to take a while. So that's why we have to start this process. And one of the great things that's happening is coaching is being introduced for medical students and for residents as well. So if you could start to understand these principles early in your career, it's a game changer.
That's it. Absolutely agree. Yeah. My kids are teenagers, and I'll try to sly coach them. They'll be like, I don't know, stop coaching me. Just tell me the answer.
Yeah. My oldest daughter, she'll be like, Mother, stop life coaching me. Okay.
I can't stop.
You gotta try.
That's right. That's right. But I think there is some that's infusing into them for sure. Mine are still at home. They're in high school. And so they'll hopefully kind of come out more empowered as far as self-care is concerned, for sure. But yeah, this has been the most delightful conversation. I've learned so much, and this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Thank you for inviting me, and it has been wonderful. Thank you.